Okay guys, today we're going to do another Puzzle Rust survival. So let's see. So as you can see, I have shown our notes here. The steps we are going to take when calculating. So black is to move. So opponent's threats. Does white have a threat? Not really. He does have this check, but I don't think it will do a lot. Evaluate the material. Well, white does have these two passed pawns, which might be annoying if somehow things get simplified. So what we can notice is start with the most valuable piece and work our way down. So first the king. So we do notice that the king is kind of short of squares and the queen is close by, so the solution is pretty easy. So queen to f1 is even checkmate. But before we do that, we'll first take a look at where the queen is. So let's say the queen was on a6, then obviously this wouldn't work. But here nothing is covering f1, so this is just checkmate, mate in 1. Okay, opponent's threats. Okay, well, we are in check, so we have to respond. And I immediately see that, well, we have a knight which can just take the queen. This is pinned, so look for hidden tactics here. This step, this is pinned. Obviously we don't have time to look for checks ourselves. First we have to react to this check. So we calculate, take the queen, take the bishop, and take the bishop with the king, which means that we are just a piece up since black took our queen with his bishop. We took his queen, but now at the final step we can take back his bishop. Okay, white is to move. Does black have a threat? Doesn't really look like it. Material is equal, so black does have some checks. So let's see, our queen can go here. So we immediately notice that this king again is short on squares. So he can go to these two. And we can, in one move, we can take away all the other squares where black can go with by using our queen. So queen to h8 check is mate. Does black have a threat? Well, actually he might. He has a bunch of checks. Also just taking the pawn with the queen or the rook. So that leads me to believe we need a forcing line. What I'll also notice is the weak back rank, which is only defended by the queen. But we have two pieces on this file. Also notice that rook is attacked, but I don't think in this position it's so important. So just queen f8 check, and if we calculate queen f8 and rook takes f8, that is checkmate. So does white have a threat? Doesn't really look like it at the moment. Well, you could say this pawn is hanging, but so let's see. this king looks very weak, and we have a bishop and queen combined on this diagonal. So if we calculate, and also if you see a knight on the second rank, that's often a really bad blockader, since it often has trouble helping out with back rank mates, since there's always one square in between where a black queen or a rook can slip into. So queen h2, king f1, queen h1, checkmate. That's the line I calculated. Also here, does black have a threat? Yeah, queen takes f4, I guess, is the threat. So I suppose we're looking for something forcing ourselves to. We do notice that this queen is weak on the back rank. So rook c8 is the first move that comes to mind. And after king to h7, we also notice that these pawns are very handily placed here, since we can play g6, after c6, h6, g6. So visualize this position. If with these pawns gone and this pawn on g6, then the rook is protecting the pawn on g6, and since the king is in check and can't go to the back rank because now there's a rook on c8, that will be checkmate. Okay, and I violated one of my own principles, one of my own steps: calculate everything until the end, including the opponent's best replies. So in this case it doesn't matter, but sometimes these kind of moves might save the game for the opponent. So I should have calculated including this, including rook takes. In this case it's no problem, the continuation is the same. Now it's checkmate. So let's see. The opponent's threat obviously is rook takes on b1. So let's see, let's start with the most precious piece first, which is the king. And we notice that there are two pieces who are eyeing g7. So the hanging rook doesn't really matter at the moment. We can just mate black in one move. Nothing is covering g7, so this is a mate in one. Is black threatening anything here? Let me see. Not really. So if we count the material, black is up a piece, it seems. Is up a piece and has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. He's up a piece and 2 pawns, so he definitely, materially speaking, should be better. But if we take a look at the queen, it's very weak again. And these pieces are once more combining to deliver a mate in one. Nothing further to calculate. This is just simple mate. So let's see now what is black threatening. Not sure. Not really sure. It looks like he doesn't have any good threats in the current position. Anyway, that's encouraging, and it's our move. So obviously rook, queen and bishop. So rook, bishop, so rook, bishop, rook, bishop. So we have a queen for a rook and a knight. Pawns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So materially speaking, it's more or less equal. Materially speaking, you might say, well, black is better. Although here it's certainly not the case. The white pieces are just too active, also combined with this pawn already on the 7th rank. Look for hidden tactics. Well, we do notice that there is a pin here on this pawn, which makes the solution, I think, rather obvious. We also notice that these two pieces are forkable by a knight, this knight. So after knight e5, the pawn can't take back since it's pinned, and we will pick up the queen the next move. So the opponent's threats, well, I do think the opponent has a threat. It looks like if we aren't quick ourselves, we will be checkmated. So we do need something forcing, probably something with a check. This king is weak on the back rank again. So what I do notice is, well, this doesn't work since we don't have a piece like a rook that can come to the back rank. This looks more promising, so bishop e7. Then the king has to move to the side to e8. Has to leave the defense of this bishop, and after queen takes e8, that is checkmate. Yeah, since this bishop is defended by the knight, and black can't put any piece in between, and the king is out of squares. Okay, so is white threatening anything? I guess perhaps queen to e2 could be annoying. We do see this weak king. Also, I think materially it's more or less equal. Yeah. But here, well, this is really very simple. We have this typical pattern of queen and bishop versus king, with the typical mate on the weak square f2. So I'm just going to mate here. Okay, does white have a threat? He does. He wants to take here, since our knight is pinned. So what do I also notice? I notice this weak king and weak back rank, since there's only one piece on the back rank. This rook isn't playing since it's blocked by the knight. That means that we can play queen takes f2 check. King has to move to the side, creating some room or leaving the defense of this f1 square. And since we have two pieces on this file, that will allow us to play queen f1, rook takes. And if you picture the ending position, you will see that it's checkmate. Okay, does white have a threat? Can't really find one at the moment. I do notice that white is up material, so we have two rooks and white has a bishop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. So he has a bishop for 2 pawns. So materially he's doing great. So I guess then the threat is just maybe that White is going to try to trade into a winning position and into winning endgame. So let's see. We do notice that this king is kind of weak. We also notice hidden tactics. We notice that the king is, or the rook rather, is pinned here on this rank. We also notice that rook takes. Obviously the queen would take back, but if we calculate king g1, then queen h2, king f1, and queen h1 would be checkmate, since the queen is blocking this escape square here for the white king. And after rook takes and queen takes, if you imagine the resulting position in your head, in your mind, then you will see that we can actually pin the queen on the next move. So I will calculate takes, which is with check, so white has nothing better than to take back. And after rook to h8, we will win the queen. So probably queen takes h8, king takes h8, and we have a queen versus a rook and a bishop. Oh, I almost was too fast there. I wonder why I didn't just take on h8 though. Almost got tricked by this strange move. Let's see. Does white have any threats? Not really. He does have an extra knight. So he has, we have 2 rooks, he has 2 rooks, but he has an extra knight, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. So he's a knight and 2 pawns up, which means we probably need either a checkmate or we have to win a ton of material. And here you can see what I said before, the knight here, which is on a very sad location. It's when it's on the second rank, it really struggles to help defend against back rank mates. So I calculate queen takes queen 2d2, king f1, queen d1, rook takes d1, rook takes d1. That will be checkmate, since the knight is blocking the escape square for the king. And well, if it was a rook, the rook could slide back, but the knight obviously cannot. So here we are, and that is checkmate. Okay, so is black threatening anything? Not sure. Perhaps knight takes e5 followed by bishop takes g2. That's maybe a threat. Materially speaking, 1, 2, 3 minor pieces, 1, 2, 3 minor pieces, 2 rooks, 2 rooks. And if I quickly look at the pawns, yeah, all pawns are still on the board. This pawn went e takes f4 probably. And here, by starting with the most valuable piece, you will avoid looking for moves first, like knight takes f6. Since we have a more forcing move, we have queen to h5 with check. Black will have to play g6 in order to block the check, since king f8, queen f7 will be mate. And after g6, we can take g6 with the knight, with the point being that this rook or this pawn is now pinned by the queen, so queen takes h8. But if he doesn't take, then we have a really nasty discover check when we move the knight back. So the solution, I think, is queen h5, probably g6, knight takes g6, and I guess black should take. But we'll see what will happen in the puzzle. Yeah. Okay, so that was 15 puzzles solved. Let's see now. Look at the opponent's threats. Yeah. Does the opponent have any threats? Our king looks, at first sight, looks very shaky. Looks very dangerous being here. Although on closer inspection, none of the black pieces can go there at the moment. They need at least, and even here that's covered by the knight. They need at least 2 moves to even check the king. So the defensive position for white is better than you think at first. What is happening is that this rook is attacked twice. So let's see. 2 rooks and a knight, 2 rooks and a knight, the same amount of pawns. So we have, do we have any checks? No, no checks. The issue will be how we will deal with this rook that's attacked twice, I guess. So we can take here, but that won't bring us anything. What I do notice is that these 2 pieces are lined up. So if we play rook takes b1, the queen has to move, and then you will notice that the queen can't move to a square that covers the knight. So after rook b1, let's say queen a3. Let's say rook b1, queen a3. We have rook takes b6. And now it's important to calculate a little more. Let's say black plays rook to a1. Oh no, it's not possible since the queen is in the way. So yeah, after rook b1, the queen has to go to the a file, which blocks the rook, which also means that there are no tricks like this. So that makes our task easier. So rook b1 and rook takes on b6. Okay, the opponent's threats. Well, the threat is pretty clear here. White is getting ready to checkmate us. He's hoping to checkmate us. But if I take a look at the position of this king, perhaps we can be faster. So yeah, 2 rooks and white has 2 bishops, so you can immediately see that 1, he's up a ton of material, 2, he's getting ready to checkmate us. But luckily the position of his king isn't so great. So if you visualize all the squares where the white king can go, really he has only this escape square. So we need a piece which can take away these squares at once. So even a bishop would suffice here, but we have something stronger. We have our queen, and after queen to a6, the king can't escape. The rook covers this pawn here. This pawn covers this pawn. This pawn covers this escape square. This pawn covers this escape square. This pawn covers this escape square. So that's just made by means of queen a6. white to move. Let's see this. Does black have a threat? Not sure. This does look dangerous. The knight and the queen so close to our king. But I also see, let's see, rook and knight, and we have bishop and knight. So obviously black is up material, which means either we have to win big material like the queen or the rook, or checkmate. Do we have a check? Yes, we have. Let's start checking with the strongest piece, which is queen to h4. And now you notice that the king can't go here, since this bishop controls this diagonal. So with queen h4, the king can't go anywhere. Black can't put anything in between to block the check, so that's checkmate. So let's see now. What is black's threat? Well, we're starting to take our queen, which is not so good. Also, two rooks. We have two rooks as well, knight and a knight. So the minor pieces and the rooks are the same, but we have one pawn and black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. So if black would manage to exchange the queens, that would be totally winning for him, unless there are some tactics. And I think there is a tactic. I think, let's see. First of all, do we have a check? Yes. Rook takes g6. Doesn't really do anything. And a big hint is that black can take back in 3 different ways. So that's already a hint that this is probably not a good move. You should still check it, but I didn't expect much of to come of this. So they have another check. No, I have not. Can I capture anything? Yes, I can capture the queen. And then we have to see, well, obviously, black should take back. He can maybe try to take the rook, but then I think we have queen d2 with the discovered check and an attack on this knight. So in the end, we will be winning material since this king will have to move. The discovered check, I think, is just too dangerous. And then after the king moves, we can pick up this knight. That means we would have rook, queen, and knight against 2 rooks, which would still need some work, but would be winning for white. So after rook takes, black will have to take the queen. And here is, I think, the tricky part. You have to consider the follow-up, which is rook takes g6 check, which is a double attack against the king here, and this rook with 2 rooks on this rank. This rook here is attacked twice, so the king has to move, and after the rook takes here, king can't take since he can't put himself in check, and if the rook takes, this rook slides over here and wins that rook. So rook to g6, and that was the solution. Here is for the moment the last puzzle for this run. So let's see, what is black threatening at the moment? Nothing much. We do see two rooks and white has 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry. Black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns, and we only need 2 pawns. Which means a potential endgame would be a disaster for us. So we do notice this king is kind of weak. We also notice that this pawn conveniently takes away some squares. So our first consideration should be rook takes d7. King can't escape to here because of this pawn. So has to go to the back rank. And after rook d8, then either king f7 or king e7, and rook d7 is checkmate. You can imagine in your head the two rooks here standing on his back rank, and the king being either on e7 or f7. In both cases, that's checkmate. Okay, I'm going to stop recording here, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, subscribe or leave a comment, and I will see you perhaps in one of the next videos.